Hey y'all, happy Monday. We are shoring up in Psalm 91 this week. We are going to finish it out so that next week we are ready to begin our Advent devotions, our Advent material, which, how was it, December already? Anyway, so I'm excited about all the things and ready to get into this word this week with you. So last week, we ended up talking about angels with the last couple of verses, and this is just one little snippet, I suppose, that I want to share with you regarding Psalm 91:11, and it says, "For he will give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways of service," or to keep you in all your ways, is what the King James says. Well, that ways there can also be translated journey. And so I want to encourage you in that this morning, that throughout your journey, he has given angels charge over you in your days, in the ways that you go, on the path, as we journey through this life. Again, tagging back into Psalm 23, the valley of the shadow of death. I will say, too, that I was reading a commentary on this Psalm 91, and it said that once the conditions of verses 9 and 10 were met, then he gives his angels charge. But of course 9 and 10 is because you have made the Lord your refuge and the Most High your habitation. So for us, we spent a whole week talking about that, and that us submitting our lives to the Lordship of Jesus Christ, that when we make him ours, when we give ourselves to him, then the richness of these promises become ours. And that's what it says. Once we have made the Lord our refuge, once we have decided to take ourselves out of our care and put ourselves in his care, then no evil shall befall you, any plague or calamity come near your tent or your dwelling. And then he gives his angels charge over us to keep us in our journey. Now, I want to go to Luke chapter 4. And this is the account of Jesus being tempted in the wilderness, the account of his temptation. Satan, of course, coming and really just buffeting him, giving him just testing. And I want to go to verse 13. So this is Luke 4, verse 13. And it said, "When the devil had ended the complete cycle of temptation, he temporarily left him. That is, he stood off from him until another more opportune and favorable time." Oh, Holy Spirit, where is it? It's Matthew 4. I'm so sorry. Anyway, don't negate that. Luke 4 is still account of Jesus tempted in the wilderness, but we are going to Matthew chapter 4. Verse 11. Would help if I was in the right book. Okay. "So Jesus said to him, 'Begone, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him alone shall you serve.' Verse 11. "Then the devil departed from him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him." Now, we talked about angels ministering, and that angels were sent in the service of God. That Hebrews 1:14 says that they are ministering spirits sent forth to minister for or to us who are heirs of salvation, and that they hearken to the voice, to the word of God. We read all of that from Psalms last week. But in this account, it's interesting that Jesus has just been through, and I don't discount the reading that we got from Luke, because it says when Satan had finished the complete cycle of temptation. And of course, we know that Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days dealing with Satan and his cycle of temptation. So we can imagine in our physical selves Jesus' state, right? But this says that when the devil departed from him, angels came and ministered to him. That word ministered there, and this is great, and I'm going to share it with you. It actually is serving him. And the particular tense used here in the Greek is service, like you were waiting a table, serving food and drink. I'm not even kidding you. That's what it means. And so there are a couple of things that we can pull away from that. First of all, whatever your need is, there are angels ready to minister for you, to you. In the Psalm 91, when it says he'll bear you up in their hands. Okay, this is Psalm 91 moving into that next verse, verse 12. They'll bear you up on their hands lest you dash your foot against a stone. That bearing you up is to lift up, to carry you, to support you, to sustain you, and to help you endure. Now, you again translate all of those different words back to they ministered to Jesus. Support, sustain, what we need, what we have need of, the Lord has, there are angels around to minister for us. But again, if we don't know that, and we don't know that they are available to us, then we're probably not experiencing the advantage of angels in our lives. But what does Psalm 103 tell us that the angels respond to? What makes the angels move, or what did they wait to hear? Psalm 103 tells us that they do his commandments. They hearken to the voice of his word. The ministers who do his pleasure. Of course, his pleasure would be his will, and his will would be his word. He would not say something that would be contradictory to his word or his will. So angels hearken to the voice of the Lord. So when we give voice to the word of God, angels move in our behalf. They hearken, and it says that they bear us up in their hands, lift us, carry, support, sustain, endure, and they minister to us. I'm going to remind you, just as we're closing out for the day, that Hebrews 1 verse 14 that says, are not all angels, ministering spirits, or servants sent out in the service of God for the assistance of those who are to inherit salvation? So just as a refresher, the verses that we used today were Matthew 4:11. We read Psalm 91:12, and then we did read from Luke 4, Psalm 103, and Hebrews 1:14. So I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow as we move on into Psalm 91. Bye, y'all.